Now, the one thing that we had, this is where we left off. I'll play it for you. The one thing we had set up is we had the timing, but we kind of didn't set it up completely, you know. So as far as you would have gotten would have been
one word to save someone whole beyond what's true. One heart to bleed the night to live.
All right, so what we're going to do next is we need to talk about feedback. And the delay system, essentially, if you open up your delay, there's a parameter that says feedback. And what the feedback parameter is, essentially, is the feedback allows the delay itself to loop again and again repetitively. So the cool part about this is that we have a left delay and a right delay timing set up to space out how wide our left-right was. Now we also have this feedback parameter, which we can set a little bit differently from one side to the other. For now, I typically like, if you just go in and type in 30 to 40%. Now what this is feedback is when you hear the echo come back, you know, he says one word and it repeats and it goes one word. That in itself is just a single delay. When you roll feedback, feedback allows the delay to then be repeated a certain number of times. As a guitarist, we use feedback for a lot of special effects. In this instance, though, it would be too convoluted for us to use really more than 50%. A lot of times I use 30, and you'll hear what happens once you punch it in.
One word to save someone whole beyond what's true.
Now, the big thing is we don't want to hear more than 2 or 3. So, like if we did turn feedback up, let's just say I went up, you know, to 80%.
One word to save someone.
Right, you notice how it's like, oh, that's just too much. I can't really understand it. So again, that's why we're going to start at 30. The big thing here is we do want the left and right to match in this instance for what we're doing. If it was a special effect and we didn't have to understand what was being said, we could actually offset these to get a wider left-right. But in this instance, if we make them different, it's actually just going to sound sloppy. And so it takes away from some of the ability for the tone to cut through. Now that you've set that, what I want you to do is we're going to look at one other parameter here. And it's the modulation option. Now, what this will do is when it kicks back, essentially it's going to cause a kind of a pitch shift effect on the delay itself. So let me just show you. I'll just show you, let's see, maybe tens at 71.
One word to save us.
And so you kind of hear it sounds like some sort of space thing, right? Well, that rate at that depth doesn't really work. So a lot of times what we'll do is if we apply any, we're going to apply a very small percentage. So anything under 10% would be doable and effective. And then I'm going to keep the kilohertz rate at about 1. Now, all this does is it really, what the goal is that if in the delay, what it can do is shift or modulate the pitch just a touch, it will allow it to feel a little less like that person's still the same person singing the original repeat. So it just gives us a little bit of flux. What we could do here, though, is in this instance, I would go ahead and set these two at least 0.2 apart from each other, if not 0.3 or 4, so that the left-right does get a bit of a spread. Let's see. I'm going to have you guys set this up. What I want you to do real quickly is open up the solo and mix the delay levels so that you actually can hear the delay within the music. Everybody's in this, right? Everybody has their session? All right, sorry, I got to take this real quick. Sorry, guys. Okay, let's go into our next phase here real quickly. In your steps, what I want to do, everybody work that out, the mix, kind of get that mix blend. What you should have noticed is we talked about the noise floor and how loud you actually have to have the delay when everything's in the mix in order to be able to hear it. The one thing that we didn't do, let's see, is we did not apply one of these kinds of fun delays in the chorus. So what we're going to do differently in the chorus is instead of having it be like on specific words in the verse, we're going to move it to specific words in the chorus. And what we need to do is on Vox 2, you're going to go do the same thing and add bus 7/8. So on Vox 2, bus 7/8, you can put this fader at nominal by option clicking it. And then we have to mute it first to write in the automation. So we're going to move in Vox 2, we're going to move to automation for bus 7/8 mute. And I think, let's see what this.
You're the one track, and you can't explain.
Let's see if this will work. I think we're going to do it at just the end of the word explain. Oh, hold on, my feedback's too long. Oh, I see. Actually, that'll work. Okay. What I want you to do is I want you to do the last of a few of these phrases, but I want you, last time I gave you a list. This time what I want you to do is I would like for you to selectively choose only 4 instances in this Vox 2 chorus line to do a delay. And how you're going to know when the best time to do it is, it's usually going to be at the end of a phrase, and there should be some sort of healthy gap. So notice like there's a little gap here. You don't want to do it like mid-phrase like this. So you want to do it like at the end of a section where there's a little bit of a gap. So let's say we do say. In that instance, I did explain. Let's say we do say. Again, you're selecting it using the trim tool and bumping it up. So just pick out 4, do it real quick. And then we just need, because we're real close on this automated effect kind of thing. This is your turn. You were what's it, right? Okay, so you got this far. We get a sign-in sheet around for you guys too. All right, how many of you already got a few in there so far? Anybody? Okay. Yeah, I would just pick out 4 spots. Make sure you're doing it on the mute instead of the level. Switch it to the. Erase that real quick. If you highlight it, hit delete. Just highlight that range and hit delete, so that and all the way to the end, just so you cover that spot and then hit delete. Because we're going to go back and do that in a second.
You said put it on mute.
Yeah, and start. No, not that. On the send on mute. So go to. I'm sorry. Switch to mute. See where it says level 3+3/4 level, and then it says mute. That one, hit mute on the send first before you start writing automation. Let's see. Dylan, Dylan, did you mute your send first before you started writing?
Yeah.
Because it looks like it's still up. It's just the bus send, like over that little fader to the right. Yeah, that one that's floating. See that floating fader to the right on the big screen? Like a floating fader off to the right. Over here. Yeah, there. Yeah, mute it. The one that you're just hovered over. It's like in the middle of the screen. It's like a fader. Yeah, mute it. Oh wait, so you're not on. Oh, you're on level, aren't you? It should be send. In the track view, make sure you're looking at send mute. Send C or D mute. Yeah. Yeah, you are. That's weird. Why did it write? Why is it writing the opposite of your? Is that the right send? Because you should be writing. Same for you. Yours is the right one. This is box 2. Oh, you're on send B. You need to go to send C. Oh, wait. What is it? Oh, you didn't move it. That's why. You didn't put you need to add a 7/8 right there. A bus 7/8. Oh, C. Because it's send C bus 7/8. It's on the right track, right? Box 2. Yeah, I can see how it's up in the up position. You're supposed to be writing it the opposite way. Hit undo for a sec. Just get rid of your breakpoints. Read your breakpoints. So the little breakpoints go away. Now mute it. Let's see if it'll do it now. Yeah, there you go. Maybe it's just because you wrote it that way first. Okay. You guys jamming through this? Remember how to do this from Wednesday? It was good. Cool. All right, so what's our next step from here? What do we need to do? What do we do on Wednesday that's going to help the delay as we get into the last part of the chorus? Any ideas? What changes in the second half of the chorus?
There's other voices.
Yeah, there's other voices. The kick drum comes in, the bass guitar comes in. There's a bunch of stuff that enters. So what does that mean dynamically for the delay?
You can turn it down.
Yeah,
Or off.
or up. Essentially, we need to turn it. Basically, what the goal is for the delay to feel like it's the same volume throughout that section. But when everything else starts playing, it's going to get drawn away from, it essentially sounds soft because everybody else is in. So what we need to do is we need to switch on just box 2. Now, last time we automated this on the delay itself, or on the original delay, I think is where we put this. Maybe it was a reverb. We're not going to do it on the effect. This time we're going to do it on the send channel. So on bus 7/8, send level for Vox 2. That's where you need to go for automation. So switch over as soon as you wrote your mutes, go to Vox 2's channel, and in the track view selector, switch over to bus C, bus 7/8, or send C, bus 7/8, go to level in the track view selector. Now, this is really easy to do. Make sure you do it on Vox 2. This is very easy to do. It's just a single move, okay? Now, when I asked you earlier, the first thing I asked you was, can you set the level of the delay for verse 1? And you did that, right? So both Vox 2 and Vox 1 are acting on a nominal setting on the send, so they have the same volume level being sent. But you'll notice that Vox 2 is already louder. So luckily, that helps us at the first entrance of the chorus. What I want you to do is in a single move, as soon as you get that switched over, so it's whenever you're ready, it'll be Vox 2's send C level. all you're going to have to do is the following. Grab the grabber, or actually, no, you can still use a selector. In the end, I guess it's easiest. Go to level. All you're going to do is use a selector, find the point where the kick drum comes in. You'll see it. When the kick drum comes in, you'll notice, oh, here comes the first entrance of the kick. It is at bar, technically it's supposed to be bar 89.1. At bar 89.1, that's where your delay level needs to pop up, okay? So bar 89.1, you can see it here. All you're going to do is highlight that to the end of that section and switch over to the trim tool, and you're just going to pull it up about 1 dB. Now what you'll notice is in the numbers here, let me just show you this. In the numbers, when you actually grab and drag, you see it say 0 dB and then it says 0 dB. The one with the little triangle by it is the difference amount. The one that's on the front is the actual volume level. And because we started at 0 dB, they both are the same. But if I change it, let's say I change it again, and I change it over here, and it's not starting from 0 dB, it's just going to report what the difference is. It'll say, on the first one, it'll say what the level is, and on the second one in the brackets, it says what's the difference between where it was and where it is. So your goal was to only put it at about 1 dB difference just for that bump, and that's it. And it's only for that repeated delay that pops through. So once you've done that, that's it. It's real simple. But here's the concept, okay? Anytime you're doing a mix and you have an effect and you know that things get louder in the mix, you have to respond by sending more level to the effect as a response to make sure the effect stays balanced. Otherwise, it'll dip out, it'll draw away, and you'll lose the effect. Does that make sense? So you can't set it, forget it. You have to kind of build it up as it goes. All right, let's see. What I want to do now is I want to switch over, and I don't know if I can do, let's see if this will show you. Yeah. Now that that's all cleaned up, I want to switch over. We'll do it with the choir. I want to switch over and talk about automation. Okay, so in your notes, go ahead and write automation. We did automation, and you just wrote automation, but let's talk about automation and the auto modes that exist. So this is the really cool stuff. Automation has to exist in a mixdown, in any mixdown. Your first section of automation is command and the number 4. Command and the number 4 displays the auto-enabled window. So go ahead and open it up while we're doing this live, so you can see it. Command and the number 4, and make sure you use your keypad, not the top. And I'll zoom in to show you this. So automation can be written to plugins, and it can be written to, and the S just means send. So volume, pan, mute, and send volume, send pan, send mute. So what happens here is we can disable these things. So like if you disabled your volume automation, what it does is it'll still read the automation that exists, but it won't write new automation as you go. So like if you wanted to kind of solo safe or almost safe automate these options, you could do that. But these are particularly not involved in the manual. This is essentially all you've been doing so far is manual automation, which is very beneficial because the manual automation for that took 2 seconds. To actually automate in real time, it takes a little longer, but these are all real-time automation options. So what that means is when we switch over to automation modes, we can do things as a group. What I want you to do is go to grid mode real quick and jump to bar 55.1 in grid mode. And then I'm going to have you write some more notes. Once you navigate there, go ahead and, for just real quick, actually you won't need to do it this way. I think we could actually get away with not having a solo it. What I want you to do is I want you to switch all of the choir group into auto write mode. Okay, so first thing I'm going to give you some definitions, and then I'm going to give you some steps. First, in the definitions, I want to talk to you about the automation modes. We're going to use them real quickly, so you'll see. Oh, this one doesn't. That's funny. It doesn't have touch latch on it. Automation modes. Your first one is automation write. Automation write is essentially the automation write is clean. I just write it in clean slate automation. Now, what I mean by clean slate automation is like if you ever wrote something in automation write and then you went and did another pass in automation write, it will erase everything you've previously done. Okay? So anytime you're in automation write mode, it literally is overlapping it and it records over any automation. So if you decided you were going to do, like the automation that we wrote for volumes, if we switch to write and push play, it's going to eliminate what we just did for the section of time that we play over it. All right? You'll see that momentarily. Automation latch. You can just put latch. Automation latch. Latch. Let me see how to tell you this. Latch will record the automation that you write and leave it in that position for the duration of the song once you're done. It'll record the automation that you write and leave it in that position for the duration of the song. Now, what's the difference there? The difference there is in latch mode, what that means is if I have a 4-minute song and I just needed to make one volume change and it was in the middle of the song, I just go in and write the automation in the middle of the song and I only need to do it for the duration of time it takes for me to make that automation change and then I'm done. And it'll hold that all the way to the end of the song. Other than me having to write automation and wait 4 minutes in real time. So like it allows you to do a pass of the automation and just leave it and it'll hold. For auto touch, in touch mode, if you just write touch allows you to modify previous automation. And after your modifying changes are done, it returns to the previous automation. So after your modifying changes are done, it returns to the previous automation. These are great for like simple volume bumps. We need a volume bump for like a second. Right? We just need a quick boost. We need a quick bump. Done. Now, automation read, you just write read. Read essentially reads any and all automation, and it does not record automation. So, and actually I'll have you highlight these real quick after we're done. And then off just bypasses all automation. So and off, you can write off bypasses all automation. And you can do it temporarily without having to delete your automation. So let's talk about touch, latch, and write real quick. Okay, so touch, latch, and write. These three, touch, latch, and write. If you just want to like bracket them, these are your record modes. Okay, so these are your record modes for automation. These are the automation elements that you record. Where read just essentially reads the recorded automation, and off just bypasses the automation altogether. You'll always start in write mode because it's the cleanest, easiest way to start. But you technically could use touch mode if you wanted to. So here's how this works. When you're writing automation, here are your steps. Okay, so writing automation, steps. Step one, writing automation. Step one, select Command 4 to enable automation. And that's that window that we just saw, you know, that one that's up there right now. And we need to make sure these are all red, essentially. So step one, Command 4, enable automation in general. Step two, switch selected tracks to automation write. So step 2, switch selected tracks to automation write. Step 2, switch selected tracks to automation write. Step 3, push play. All right, spacebar. Right. Step 3, push play. Step 4, move automation. Now we'll talk about what automation includes momentarily, but move automation. Essentially, that's the automation part, right? That's the auto part. All right, final step, switch selected tracks to read. Now, if there are any other modifiers that are needed, that's when you may switch to touch, or even possibly latch. Okay, so watch how this happens. Watch what we do. I'm going to show you this real quick. Now, the automation modes that exist are the ones you see here: volume, pan, mute. Solo is not an automatable parameter, just so you know. If you decided you wanted to mute like a whole range of people, you essentially you could either manually do it or you're going to make a group. So this is why you may decide to elect to make certain groups just for automation purposes. In this instance, the choir is already a group, which is awesome because that makes that life easy. Now what we're going to do is for this, you see send volume, send pan, send mute. Remember when we set up the choir, actually, you'll have to unmute all your reverbs. I think I had you mute those. But remember when we set these up originally, these guys are all mostly reverb because they're in pre-mode. So all we're going to do is we're going to boost volumes from the sends, not actually from the actual levels down below, but we're going to boost volumes from the sends. And the issue here is, based upon the send group, down in here in the choir group, we have to modify. So if you let's just say you go into your sends and you start moving these sends. Notice what's wrong with this. This should be acting as a group if I want to do this, if I want to automate this correctly. And notice it's doing it independently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to quickly modify the group. So off to the left, in the lower left column, you'll see a thing that says groups. If you don't see that menu, just hit the arrow in the corner. There's like a little arrow in the corner. Select that little arrow there. You're going to open up your groups here. And you're going to click this little menu. There's a teeny little menu. All you have to do is hit modify groups. Once you modify your groups, or once you get here, what we have to do is where it says ID and then it says A, go to ID 1 and go down to the one that says choir. Follow me so far? We're just going to make a quick modification to the send parameters. And here it is. If you move over to the Attributes tab, notice this is going to say how our group reacts. Well, our group right now is only set to react to volume and mute, not even pan. And notice there's no other insert controls applied or level controls for send, mute, or pan for the sends. So what we have to do is if you hold Option, please click on send level, send mute, and then you can actually click on, oh, actually, you know what? These are follow main panners. No, let's leave the pans off because these are all panned out differently. You can also, in the mix attributes, please go ahead and hold Option, or not hold Option, but click on solo so that solos is set up. And notice automation modes is selected. So let's go ahead and save that by hitting OK. Now you should have send level controls over the group. And now that you have that, what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and essentially automate this by adding swell. So watch how I'm going to do it. Step 1 was to switch to write mode. Or actually, step 1 was to hit Command 4 and make sure that we're plug-in enabled for send volume, essentially is what we want. Send volume is what we're about to automate in the automation mode. Then we're going to switch to write. And then what we're going to do is we're going to push play and we're going to move the faders for that group. One easy way to do it, we could do it here as a group like this, because you can see them all here. We could do it here as a group, or we can click on this, click on just one of them. Moving one of them is going to move all, and then what we can do is we can hide the mix window so we can see just this send fader for that send group while starting on bar 56.1. Then we can push play. And you can't explain all the colors as they right, this thing's sticky. I'm gonna have to deactivate that one group. Okay, now if we, as soon as we finish that pass, you'll see it switches us to auto latch mode. What that means is, in auto latch mode, it's trying to take you there a second in case you made a mistake. If we go and then move the track view selector to bus 5/6 level, you'll see all the automation that was written. You know, so if there were mistakes, there's a couple things I like to do. It's like if there was something that was repetitive that I could just, if I was like, you know what, this one was nice and clean, I'm going to doop 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 doop. Right, Command D. I could just copy that one and slam it onto everybody and just make that one work. Well, in the process, I did notice that these guys really shouldn't have been in this group because they're doing something different. So what I'm going to do temporarily is deactivate the group. And I'm just going to eliminate that for these guys so that they don't have to bother with it. They can just stay where they are. Now, latch mode allows you to jump in and make a change. So like if we did stay in latch mode, and I'm going to, for now, get these guys out. Split there and read. If we did stay in latch mode, what then could happen is we could go in and push play. And essentially what it's going to do is it's going to, in latch mode, it's going to carry on and it's going to pick up in the middle of this section for us. If we switch to touch mode, where is it, touch mode? If we switch to touch mode, what we get to do here is if I just said, oh man, that boost was just too high, I can restrain it by clicking it and holding it. When I let it go, it's just gonna jump back to where it was. So it'll always like return back to the original written position. Which means if there was an error in here, you could fix that. Now, one other way to do that, though, in Latch is if you really just knew what your simple modification was, you could actually switch to the pencil tool and just say, oh, this was supposed to go like this. You know, unfortunately, it was so close, but it was supposed to be like that. Does that make sense? So you could literally go in and rewrite modifications over top of these. But a lot of times, most people like to be honest, like I like to do it in this mode to start with, but when you're really trying to get a feel for something, you want to actually do it with the faders, you know what I mean, to get like a natural feel for it. What I'm going to have you do real quick is I want you to do a pass on these, and you can just build the swells. You're going to use those steps, but before you do, make sure you went to Modify Groups, and raise your hand if you didn't catch this, and Choir, and switch all these on. So raise your hand if you didn't modify that group section. Otherwise, you're ready to go. As soon as you're done, you can switch to Auto Read, and you'll know it works if you push play and everything's moving. Did anybody miss that group modification? Nope. Oh, that makes sense. James Michael, did you kind of, you caught what we were doing, right? Yeah, okay, cool. All right, did everybody get a pass? Everybody got a clean pass and worked out for the most part? Okay. What I want to do next is I want to talk about, because that's in and of itself. If you're gonna use automation in real time in that kind of format, it pretty much is just you have to go in and manually move stuff. Well, let's just say you were like, well, I love that, but I also wanted to automate like panners or something on the same track. What you're able to do is if you stay in latch mode, notice it kicks you to latch mode immediately after the first pass. If you go back into latch mode, then anything you add on is just an added automation. So let's just say, let's say instead of doing it on the, and I'm just going to have you guys undo this so you can at least see how it works. Let's just say you wanted to, in addition to add that pass, some panning automation. If I push play in that section and I go and adjust, now the reason this is such a big deal is because I can't do two things at one time with my mouse, right? So you actually have to go in and stack these. So if you wanted this kind of an effect, you got to go in and do them. And maybe let's say for this first group here, I'm sorry. Let's just say you wanted to stack on more automation. Well, what'll happen is as you push play and cycle back, you'll see all this stuff get stacked up, and where all this information goes is in your track view selector. There's, other than waveform, you'll notice there's also volume, which we've done because we've automated for volume, mute, and pan. And pan gets a little confusing because if it's mono and it's a panner automation, it's just one option. If it's stereo and it's a pan left and a pan right that you have to deal with. So you have to actually automate both the left and the right separately. But essentially, this is how you would stack on this kind of an automation. What I want you to do is switch to latch mode, and you could just essentially stack on a panning automation and do it down in the lower faders. We're going to get rid of it, so maybe before you jump into it, go ahead and hit save, so you saved where you were before, and then jump into latch mode, push play, mess around with the panners, just make sure it worked, and then you can undo it. Does that make sense? So just enough for you to see it. Undo mine. All right. Okay. Hopefully you were able to do that and hit undo, at least to see that that's how you stack it on. This is the only, I'll say this is the one really big benefit to having an actual controller, where you can actually do some of that stuff. So you notice like your Kai has the ability to set up as a controller for faders and knobs. So you can at least do 2 moves at once instead of having to only do 1 move at a time and have to stack it up and stack it up. It's also another benefit for why you might want to manage doing manual. What we're going to do real quick is we're going to do a combination of plug-in automation right now, along with manual automation or manual written automation, but we're going to do it in a way that allows us to kind of expedite the process using the grid. So what we're first going to do is, and this will actually be simple compared to what you've done, I want you to click on the tambourine track. We're going to add a delay effect specifically just for the tambourine. So this is just a special effect. So click on the tambourine track first, on the nameplate, so that the nameplate's highlighted. All right, so click on the nameplate so it's highlighted on that tambourine track. So just get your tambourine track highlighted. It's up by the drums. It should be, you should have moved it right after the kick, so it's like the 3rd track down. After you've done that, let's go ahead and hit Command-Shift-N, and let's make a stereo aux input. So we're going to make a new aux input effect. So stereo aux input. So you go to stereo aux input, right? After we have our aux input, we need to, you could literally just call this tambourine effect by just putting in TAMB FX. All right, so you can just put TAMB FX. Again, it's just Command-Shift-N. We want a stereo aux input, and it's just going to be TAMB FX. There you go. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we have to decide, well, what bus number would this be? Does anybody know? We need this to be on a new isolated bus. What number would it be? What's that? 9 and 10. Why is that?
Because before you use 7 and 8.
Exactly. Okay, so we're on 9 and 10 now. So our input is bus 9, 10. Good job. Once we've set that up, we just need to send our tambourine. We're going to send a bus send on send A. All right, so send A of the tambourine to bus, what? 9 and 10, right? So bus 9 and 10. Do me a favor, once you've done that, go ahead and hit Option, click the fader to send it to nominal. This is gonna go in post mode. This one we're gonna have a little fun with, just so you can see some of the options you can do here with this. But what we're gonna do first is I want you just very quickly, after everybody got that far? Anybody not that far so far? Anybody have questions? Okay. Once we have that routed, it's ready to go. What I want to do is I want to solo safe it real quick, right? By hitting Command and clicking on the solo for the tambourine effects channel. Hold Command, click on the solo for the tambourine effects, and then go ahead and add a delay plugin to that effects channel. You can just use the Mod 3, nice and simple. And I think based upon, actually we'll have to see which, I think we might, it's either going to be quarter note or half note, I think. Let me find the tambourine. Oh, there you go. Go ahead and click on the tambourine track. And for now, we could just kind of roll it with everything else. So you should hear it go, chick, chick, right? You kind of hear that so far. So this is what we're going to do. We're actually going to start here for your feedback. Let's go with let's go with 40% on the feedback on both sides, just so we get more than just a single hit. Now, there's 2 things we need to do with this after we do that. What do we need to do with the delay to make it feel a little more together? Like, it needs to be part of the sound, the atmosphere. What's the thing we need to do with the delay? Anybody?
Okay, switch one, what's it called? The top knob right there, make them different.
Okay, we can modify the left right to make them different to make the sound wider. We're actually the only reason we're not going to do that just now is because we're going to go in and automate this. So we're going to offset that when we automate it. But what else do we do to make the delay feel like it fits the mix? There's two things. One was recycle it back to the main reverb, right? You guys remember that? How do we do it? Anybody remember how to recycle it back to the main reverb? No? We're going to add on the delay, we're going to put a bus for 1, 2. You could just, for now, you could just option click it to put it to nominal. So now it's kicking back around. What else? One more thing. What do we do to all of our other delays? Specifically the last one. Slight EQ filter, right? Do you guys remember this? We did a bandpass on it. Right after the delay, just throw in an EQ with a bandpass. So you're just going to use a high pass and a low pass filter. You're just going to thin it out a little. It's just a little too thick. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We got all that set up just so we can use it. Now what I want to do is, you notice the timing. What did we set this value to? We set this value to quarter note, right? You see it right here? Now, we're going to modify how we're going to use this in a second because we're going to set some automation parameters, which will be a little fun. But for now, in this opening segment, notice how the rhythm plays out. Right? Tat, 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 tat. So what we're going to do is in your grid, go ahead and switch to grid mode. Switch to grid mode, and in your grid resolution, we're going to change to quarter note value. Okay? Change your grid to quarter note value. With me so far? Everybody there? Okay. What we're going to do is I'm going to automate this so that the pan, every time you hear it go chick, 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 it actually goes panning left, right, left, right, left, right. Okay? So that it's not just down the middle. So what I'm going to have you do is on the Tambourine Effect, switch to the track view selector to pan left. So this is where it gets tedious somewhat, but we'll fix it. Okay? What we're going to do is notice this is where the tambourine hit starts. So we don't have to do much from here. We're going to start right here where the tambourine starts. We're going to be down in the Tambourine Effects on pan left. Please switch to the pencil tool, but if you click down on the pencil tool and hold it, go and choose the square option. Square option. What we're going to do with this is, it's interesting how this works out. This is a stereo left-right, which means that the panner is already listed as hard left. Notice, see when we switch to pan left, there's a left-right here, and you see that the line's all the way at the top, which means that that's left. So we pull that line down, it moves towards the center or going to the right. Watch what happens when I grab this tool here. What happens is if I grab it and click it, I just click right here on this first grid point and I pull it to the right. What happens is as I pull it to the right with the square mode option, it's actually going to automatically do this left, right thing. Okay? What I want you to do is, I think if I can bar this out correctly, sorry, it's being weird because of the view that I'm in. What I want you to do with this is I want you to automate only the first 4 hits like this on the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then at the end of it you can let it go. So what you should see here is for the first 4 hits, the left panner is moving from left to right for this section. You see how that worked out? So far, so good. Go ahead and do it real quick on just the left. All you have to do is grab that pencil tool in square mode. Click on the first. That's at bar 90 bar 90 beat 3, click it and pull it all the way to the right and drag it down for 4 of those beats. And then when you're done, you can let it go. So far, so good? Then what we can do is we could actually go repeat that on the other side. Now that's kind of like, this is kind of the weird element that happens here. We could repeat this on the other side because we have to write for right. But what we could do instead is, oh, where is it? Oh yeah, it should do it there. What we can do instead is we're going to do something called a copy special, paste special. And what that is in your notes, go ahead and write copy special and paste. You can just put copy/paste special. So we can rewrite this for the other side. What the requirement is if we automate the left like this, then basically the right has to be automated in the same direction so that the left and the right are moving together. But here's the catch. In automation, if I had like an automation mute and then an automation pan, because they're different parameters, I can't copy-paste those parameters from the mute to the pan. I don't know why they decided that was a weird thing, but they did. So they made a copy and paste special. And what that does is it forces whatever you're trying to copy in the automation to go to the new parameter. So all you have to do for this is highlight that region and go to the edit window, I'm not at the edit window, the edit menu, and instead of hitting copy, you're going to go to copy special. And when you go to copy special, notice it gives you options and it says all automation or pan automation. In this instance, all we need is the pan automation. So we're going to copy the pan automation and then you're going to move over to pan right. And in that same spot, you're going to go to edit, paste special. Now, if you hit repeat to fill selection, essentially it's just going to do whatever the automation was until it's done. Although it didn't do it for some reason. Hold on. Oh, come on, guys. Is it because, let me see if it's because of this. What the heck? Oh, if it doesn't let me do this, I'm going to be mad. Oh, jeez. Why would it not do that in this format? Well, it looks like it didn't. Nobody's did that, right? Dang it. You'll actually have to manually do it, unfortunately. So if the paste special didn't work, which it doesn't look like it did, switch to pan right, and all you're going to do is the exact same automation. The only catch is that it has to start on the left. So like the one weird fix with this is your first automation move, you have to take your grabber tool and drag it up to the left first because that's how we started the previous automation. Then you can go back to the pencil tool, click on the same region, you're just going to pull it down and over to the right. And then once you're done, you can let it go, and then your effects automation should go back and forth based upon the time. And then if you put your headphones on, you'll hear the effect in the end. So far, if you throw your headphones on, you'll listen to it, you'll hear what it did. You should just, and it's only for the effect, it's not for the main, so you only hear it kick back. Sorry, did you? Okay, yeah. So on the right, you're just going to repeat it. Same thing on the right.
Okay.
Yeah. And just make sure before you start, you make a breakpoint loop so everybody's up at the top. So like you just use a grabber and drag everything to the top. Is that your right or is that your left? Oh, no, you're on the volume. It should be on pan. You should have done your first move on pan left, and then the next one on pan right. So you just undo that and go make sure you're on pan left and then pan right. That's your pan right, right? Did it work? Yeah. Rafi? Yours is good, right? Yeah, good. Okay, now what we're going to do next is we're going to automate the plugin. So write in your notes, plugin automation. This is a real simple process, but it's just something that requires just a few steps. Plugin automation. Step one, and this is in the plugin. So step one, in the plugin, go to the auto window. It looks like this. Okay, so step 1 in the plugin itself, go to the auto window, and then all you have to do is in step 2 select parameters to automate. Now you know how on the list, like when we saw the bus list for automation, it said bus level, bus mute, bus pan. Well, whatever we decide to put in the automation here is going to show in that list. So we a lot of times you want to be specific. If you know exactly what you want, then that's what you're going to modify or change. For this instance, what I want to choose is let's see if it'll let me do, oh good, note left, note right, and that modifier should be, oh, you know what, I know how to do it. Never mind. Note left, note right. Okay? This is on the Mod 3 delay. So step 2 was to choose the parameters. You know, click them and hit add, and then you can hit OK. Step 3, in the track view selector, select automation parameters. In the track view, step 3, in the track view selector, select automation parameters. And then step 4, automate using your automation steps. So you can either do it manually or you could do it in real time. Okay, so then you automate it. That's real simple. Once you go and view it, you can automate. So I'm going to go to the Mod 3 bus, and I have a note left and note right. Now, I do want these to be the same. Hopefully this will let me copy special, paste special the way it's supposed to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to choose note left. Now, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to bump up. I don't know if it'll let me do it. Well, we'll just hear how it sounds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bump up the note duration for a certain period of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the first, right there at that bar 90, beat 3. I'm going to keep it where it was. If I click on a breakpoint where it was, that's quarter note. And what, actually, you know what? It might be easiest to, if I can do it that way, because I don't think, oh yeah, there we go. I'm actually going to keep them to return at each of those first 4 quarter note, or first 4 tambourine hits. I'm actually going to click on the grid where they all fall, okay, and even the one at the end. Because watch what I'm going to do. So I made a breakpoint using the grabber tool. I made a breakpoint on each position. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a new breakpoint, and I'm going to step stage these. So let's see if I can do this. So 2 by 2. Oh yeah, there we go. Well, wrong way. All right, because of the way the quarter note plays out, quarter. Oh no, that's not going to work. Actually, it's got to go quarter. Okay, I think I know how I'm going to do it. What basically, well, you know, of course, it might be cleaner to use the delay. Problem with the note. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bump up to quarter note, or I'm sorry, to 8th note for these 2 beats. And then in the last 4, I'm going to bump up to 16th note. So that essentially what it looks like is it looks like quarter note, and then by lowering it, this one's 8th note, and by lowering it in this group, this one's 16th note. Now, if I like that, it's going to be based upon whether I like that, and I have to do it. That was only for note left, so I need to do this for note right. Like I mentioned before, let's see if it'll let us copy paste or copy paste special. It's supposed to. I don't know why it's not doing it. Plugin automation. Oh yeah, come on. Yeah, it's not dumping it there. I'm gonna have to do it manually again. All I'm gonna do again is the same thing. Drop a break at each one of the downbeats, and then I'm going to take so essentially the first 2 beats are quarter note. The next 2 beats I'm going to modify and pull down to 8th note, and in the last 4 I'm going to switch it to 16th. And this is what you'll hear when you're done. turn that up. Hold on, let me turn it up just a touch. Turn it up a lot so you can hear that. All right, go ahead and automate that for me real quick. It's going to look like this, and then we're going to do a quick modifier for it. In the effects, just remember, or the plugin, just remember that you begin by choosing the plugin window. You're going to select note left and note right. All right, once you set up those parameters, you can actually, once you set it up once, you can just dupe it for the 4 instances that you already had. So you can do it on note left and note right. And in our last sequence here, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to add in the automation. If you go to automation and add feedback left and feedback right, feedback left and feedback right, and those are these guys. So we're going to do this kind of the same thing with them. Feedback left, feedback right. But in this instance, so we'll go to their modifiers here down in the track view selector, feedback left. Feedback left. In this instance, what we're going to do is a little different. We're going to drop, again, we're going to drop, a point at the beginning and the end. And then just take this thing up. Now, I don't know how much juice we'll have by the time we get there, but we'll see. There we go. Because that's what it should do, is it needs to, we're going to just tag it right at the beginning, right at the end, and pull it up like this. So right where the beginning of this one is, the next one, and then pull both left and right up to the top. Because what needs to happen is without that feedback recoiling off the first instance here, we're not getting enough towards the end. So on feedback left and feedback right, essentially just pull those points, and then you can just dupe those for the 4 times by hitting duplicate. Dupe, 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 and then. Let me just see how far you got. Step. Feedback? Nope.
Which one is it?
It's this parameter, but you didn't do the note. You didn't do the note yet.
The note left and right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you click on the note left, so click on the grammar tool, and then you're gonna drop a breakpoint at like the bar of the grid that each one of these hits falls on for the first 4. So drop it right where that grid mark is, and you just click it, and go do the notes, leave it, do the next one, and do the next 3. There you go. How many of you got through that part? The automation for the note resolution was a little weird. Oh, you're on note right. You did note left okay there, right? Should be note left. Oh. Click order out. Maybe you already clicked order out. Actually, you know what? Undo these breakpoints real quick because it won't let you. So far, so good? Did you already get through it all? Yeah. Did you already get through it all? And then you just need to copy paste that. Or dupe Command D. Sorry, I know today I kind of got started late, so on Wednesday I could pick up with you guys and we can just wrap some of this up and we'll talk a little bit more about the fun we can have with plugin automation. Other than that, next week spring break, right? Yeah? Okay, so I'll see you guys Wednesday, but next week I won't see you, so just don't forget. But if you kind of save where you're at, we'll pick up on Wednesday and we'll just wrap this up, make sure everybody's completed with it. Anybody not sign in? Awesome job today, guys. I will see you Wednesday.